So, with the release of the Sony ZV-E10 Mark II camera, which came out earlier in 2024, it also shipped with a new version of the kit lens. But the question is this any better than the old kit lens? Well, in this video, we'll compare to see which is better. And the first thing you'll notice is how similar the specifications are of the two lenses. The old kit lens, the Mark I, is a 16-50mm lens with an f3.5-5.6 maximum aperture range, with power zoom and optical steady shot. The new Mark II specifications are that it's a 16-50mm lens with an f3.5-5.6 maximum aperture range, with power zoom and optical steady shot. Sounds similar? It's because on paper they are exactly the same. So are there actually any differences? And looking at the lenses side by side, they are very similar to look at. The Mark II weighs just 107 grams and is 31.3mm long in its retracted position, meaning it's pretty much identical in size to the original 16-50mm lens. But the new version, the Mark II, is just under 10% lighter, with the original weighing in at 116 grams. So the lighter weight is the first main difference, and this is pretty much exclusively due to the materials. The Mark I has a metal body with a plastic focus ring, whereas the Mark II is all plastic. And to be honest, it does make the Mark II feel a little cheaper in construction, though you do get that small weight save. And the other physical differences are because of that material used. The Mark II has a bit more of a matte finish compared to the metal finish that you can see on the Mark I, but their size and their dimensions are all pretty much identical. So that is it for the physical differences, but are there any other differences with this lens? And the answer is yes, but not that many. The new version has an updated control chip that allows it to focus while zooming and making it compatible with the latest autofocus standards. This means that it can autofocus at up to 120 frames per second for stills or high frame rate video. This support for 120 frames per second of continuous shooting means technically you could use it with Sony's flagship A9 Mark III maximum shooting speed, but I can't imagine anyone in the world who would use such a budget lens with such an expensive body. Though what it does mean is that it leaves the door open for high-speed shooting to come to budget cameras in the future, but still use this same Mark II lens. But one difference it does make right now is that the lens can keep up with the 1080p 120 frames per second video recording mode, which is on the ZV-E10 Mark II, which the Mark I lens would not be able to do. The new version also communicates gyro information from its stabilization system to the camera body, allowing for better coordination between the two. These differences are quite small, and in the majority of the time they are not relevant. But the most important facet of any lens, of course, is the picture quality. And to be honest, from my testing, this remains pretty much unchanged. I haven't noticed any meaningful difference in the image quality. The maximum aperture range of f3.5-5.6 makes the lens quite slow, meaning that it is quite poor in low light. And whilst that zoom range of 16-50mm is very versatile for different types of shooting, it's still not the sharpest and can get quite soft at the edges of your images. If you've used the Mark I lens and you're familiar with the image quality of that, then these limitations are very, very similar. However, like the Mark I lens, it's still a good beginner lens. Keeping the optical steady shot and power zoom makes it suitable for all types of shooting, and its compact size makes it an obvious choice as a travel lens. The price of the Mark II lens is expensive at $299 when purchased separately. However, getting it bundled in with the ZV-E10 Mark II makes it just $100 extra, which is the only way you should get this lens. Please never buy it for $300. It's not worth it. So should you upgrade from the Mark I to the Mark II? Well, if you've already got the Mark I and you're happy with it, then no, the differences aren't worth shelling out the difference for the Mark II. but just be aware that you won't be able to do the 1080p at 120 frames per second video I mentioned before with the ZV-E10 Mark II. Generally, I'd recommend upgrading from either of these kit lenses to a sharper, faster lens like the Sigma 18-50mm, which is a big improvement on the kit lens while covering the same kind of focal range. But if you're buying the ZV-E10 Mark II as your first camera, then the Mark II lens bundled in for $100 is more than a fine starting point. Whilst not amazing, it's good enough while starting out.